Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Talking with Robert Iler from The Sopranos fame. He just told us he plays poker. He's a big Hold'em player. I want to get into that a little bit, but real quick, just to end talk about The Sopranos a little bit. We were talking about another show. The show, such a range of emotions, like and acting challenges. Like every other episode, you got to do something that's either happy, sad. Is there one scene in particular? Or episode in particular that was really hard for you to do, like emotionally? Can you think back and go, "Wow, that's going to take something out of me"?
The suicide when I jumped into the pool.
I would think that. Yeah. What
was
yeah.
crazy. I mean, it didn't hurt that it was January and they wanted me to jump into a pool with like something tied to my leg with a bag over my head. I have asthma, so I'm like.
I'm such a fan of this.
Out.
My mother lives almost around the block from where the exterior of the house is that you guys use for that.
Where is that? North Caldwell?
Yeah, she lives in an area by there, but the house in North Caldwell. And she was the backyard the same exterior for that house?
Yeah, the only time we went back to that house was to shoot backyard or in front of the house stuff, and then we built a stage over in Queens.
Right, and the studio's there, but the backyard was the backyard of the house you see in front.
Yeah.
And so that's the pool you're jumping into in January.
That's where the bear attacked me. Jumped into the pool.
A lot of stuff happened to you.
Yeah.
But okay, so obviously it's a suicide attempt. That's got to be rough anyway. The way you do it, tying a cinder block to yourself,
and then a bag over my head,
a bag over your
with
head,
a rubber band around it.
And anybody who shoots any sort of acting, especially when it's a one-camera thing, if you have to get wet in a scene, it's awful because you got to change back to the dry clothes.
It is miserable.
Redo a take. How long did it take you to do that? Where he saves you?
They had, the worst part wasn't really jumping into the pool. It was afterwards he pulls me out and he just holds me there on the concrete.
Right.
For like,
it's a tremendous
what felt
acting
like hours.
moment, too. Like, he's like really sad and,
It was great. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, you just do a scene with him and it just comes natural.
But it's a great acting job on your part. Just laying there motionless is hard to do.
Yeah.
And it really worked out amazing,
Yeah.
So that was by far the hardest. Was that like a 15-hour day or one day? Or
it was 2 days.
2 days of shooting.
And then it was just, they had like these heaters that were like jet engines that would come, and the second we were done, they blow it on you.
You probably had that in football, right? In football, you have the jet, and immediately you get warm.
Right, so then they had a room filled with those. Right. So me and Jim would run into it, start taking all of our clothes off, or those are blowing on you.
Change.
And then you get finished, they do your hair again, and then they push you right back out. And we had to do, I don't remember exactly. It could have been 10, it could have been 15, it could have been 20, but like it was just... It was brutal. If I looked like I didn't want to go into the pool, believe me, I didn't want to go into the pool.
It worked. I remember watching that, devastated. Like, what's going to happen here?
The director was playing like all this really sad music to get like into the moment, and
really
all the Timmy Van Patten.
Van Patten was the guy who directed most of it.
He's unbelievable.
Right? Yeah. Now, would David Chase be around the set even when he wasn't directing, or do you trust Van Patten to hold that set? Would he be around?
He would show up all the time, but it would just be random. You never knew, and you never knew when he was coming by. But then he'd be there for a whole day, or stop by for an hour, or you never. There wasn't like a schedule.
How long would it take to shoot an average episode?
We were insane. We had some episodes that were like 10 days, then we had some that took like over a month.
Right.
Because there was...
It's like shooting a film.
Right, and if there's like the dinner scenes... there were like 12 people at a dinner table. That would take like 3 days for a 30-second thing. And the worst thing is, like, you're waking up at 6 a.m. I feel bad saying this to truck drivers who are on the road right now.
It's
but
a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's like you're waking up at 6 a.m. eating Chinese food. Yeah. And you're like, you didn't get this Chinese food from a restaurant anytime recently because they're all closed. So I know this is at least like 24 hours old. You're heating it up in the microwave at 6 a.m. I just woke up. I don't want to be here. And it's obviously, it was the greatest job ever, but there are those times where you're like, ugh.
And
like,
again,
get me out of here.
Not to sound too stupid show business, but you're eating in like a 3-shot of people, and then you got to eat during your close-up.
Right, you're
and
eating
the continuity's got to be
for 36 hours in 3 days, nonstop, and it's the same food. And you can't change your food because people will see it.
I always said that about Gandolfini. He's eating all the time.
Well, and then
he's got ice cream on his stomach.
Yeah, the craziest thing about Jim is that when the cameras would go off, he wouldn't stop eating. We would be on the second day of the same. He'd probably put back like 250, like some kind of dumplings, and they'd yell cut, and he'd still, as he's talking to you, he's popping them in your mouth, in his mouth, and you're like, what? it was crazy.
So funny.
Yeah.
So I mean that again, it's like shooting a mini film. Would you have a read through? Would every episode start with a read through where Chase is there as the showrunner and
every single person who was involved would be there. Those were our favorite times because everybody shows up in like, sweatpants. You joke around, you make jokes. We sit there, we eat for like 20 minutes. Everybody sits down. You read over the script, and then like. Everyone's laughing, and because a lot of people, it's the first time they read it. You're coming right off set. You had no time to look through the script. But then the other thing sometimes was like, this is where blah, blah, blah dies.
Yes.
And then, sometimes we didn't like them. So we all have to act sad. Like, oh, man, that's horrible. You're gone. And we're like high-fiving under the table. But it was...
That's hilarious. Well, it's funny that everything was so right. The wardrobe was perfect because that's my world.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I grew up, was Central Jersey.
Yeah.
And Newark. I grew up around Newark, and as a longshoreman at the port, everybody dressed like that. Everybody, there's Franklin Avenue and Nutley is referenced all the time. All these references in Down Neck and Newark, in the First Ward, the North Ward. It's like where my whole family's from. And
during the credits, you probably know every single
one
spot
of them.
there.
And Pizza Land and all that stuff. And everything was perfectly done. We got to take another break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that you play poker now. How often do you play?
I mean, the other night I went to Borgata and put in a 22-hour session.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about
play a lot.
You're playing for money now, poker. And Leah, what you up to now? Robert Iler after this. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Robert Iler's here. Steve on the Audience Network has a quick question for Robert. Steve, go ahead. Steve. 1, 2, 3, Steve, not on the Audience Network. So you're playing poker now. Is that your big thing now? You like playing Texas Hold'em?
Yeah, I moved to Vegas. I made it official. I
moved to Vegas?
I went there for 3 weeks, and I was going to just hang out, and I came back a year and a half later.
Really?
Yeah, I played in the World Series of Poker main event. 7,000 people. I got 275th. It paid 42,000. I was like, I'm gonna pretend like I never had this money. I got a place there.
275th place out of 40,000, whatever it is.
Out of 7,000 people.
And you have 42 grand.
42 grand. First place was 9 million.
How long does it take to do that?
That was a little over 5 days.
5 days, you make 42 G's. Everything's fine.
Yeah, it was great. And then I realized, I'm like, I gotta move I've been living in a hotel for a month, partying. I'm like, I gotta get normal.
You gotta be careful, man.
Yeah, so I go.
Dude, call me if it gets out of control.
I will. And so I find a real apartment building there. It's like the nicest on the strip. I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm single. I'm 26. Why not?
Why not? You're right. Sure.
Yeah. So I go food shopping on a Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to be normal for a week. Let's see what this is like. I go food shopping. I come back. I'm bringing my groceries in, and I hear this loud bang. I turn around. It's a guy holding a girl on the floor, and she's in the shortest shorts I've ever seen. And he's like, help, help.
What?
So we go running over, and I'm like, it's Wednesday at 5 o'clock. I'm like, what's going on? So we run over to this guy. Our elevator, we're in an elevator bank, so the phones aren't working. So we're like, we got to run down and get security. We bring up the security guy. He's standing there. We're waiting like 5 minutes for an ambulance to show up. All of a sudden, she wakes up. She looks at us. She goes, what is everyone looking at? We go, you just passed out. She goes, no, I didn't. She goes, I'm getting out of here. She walks away. We look where she was laying, and just a giant number 2.
Oh, God.
From every single angle of her shorts. 2 out of the front, 1 out of the back, was just gigantic all over the floor. And I'm like, this is a Wednesday at 5 p.m. So then the security guard...
Welcome to Vegas.
Yeah, so the security guard grabs his walkie-talkie. He's like, yeah, we got a 1059. And I'm like, you have a code for a girl going to the bathroom on the floor by the elevators? I'm like,
Vegas.
And I just knew. I was like, right there, I was like, this is going to be the craziest year of my life. And it was.
Listen, dude, I'm telling you, I want you to go there. I want you to have fun. But Gandolfini, unfortunately, is no longer with us. I'm going to be the same guy now. I'm calling you to check up on you.
I want you to. I haven't had a drink in 8 months.
Good for you.
Yeah,
but you got any trouble, call me. I've been through everything. Maybe not what you just said, but no. But again, now I feel bad. Gandolfini's gone. I'm going to take care of you now.
Thank you, Uncle Artie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm serious about that. Keep in touch, man.
Yeah, and man. I'd come by whenever.
Whenever you're around.
Thank you.
Come by the studio and hang out.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, come by.
Thanksgiving.
Have a good Thanksgiving and.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good
everybody.
to know you, brother.
Yeah, you too.
Robert Iler, back after this.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.